Hello, everybody. It's just a few minutes after 6. We welcome you. If we'd be really happy if you all could keep your cameras on, and if you've got them off now, go ahead and put them on so we can see you. You can keep your microphones off. That'll make things a little easier, I think, until you have something to say or something to ask about. It's really, really great to have you all. You all came on such a short notice, so obviously you've got some real interest in this program, and that makes us very happy to be able to answer questions and tell you a little bit about it. I'm sure we'll get a few folks added along the way. We've got about 60 people here at the moment, and I think we're expecting even a few more. So my name is Don Wadsworth. I'm the director of pre-college drama, and I'll introduce you to some of the other folks. And I'm hoping that we get to learn your names and your interests as the night goes on. We think we can probably have this all sort of wrapped up for you between 60 and 90 minutes tonight. If anybody has to leave early, just give us a little wave goodbye in the chat or let us know. But also, we want you to know that if you have any questions, even when we've done all this tonight, there's always a way to get in touch with us and make a personal request about something, especially if it sort of doesn't affect everybody in the room. So I want to introduce you to a lot of really terrific people. In the gorgeous background of CMU in the night sky, you'll see Beth Yazembowski, who is the director of all the pre-college programs. We don't just have drama here, we've got music and architecture and any number of other programs. And so she's head of that. And then you'll also get to meet Kai Roberts, who's also administrative support. And there's Kai with the background of San Francisco Bay Bridge behind him. These two are fantastic in helping us with all this. Amy's here today too. Amy's an assistant in the administrative end, see with the striped shirt. I'm not expecting you to remember everybody's names, but here they are. Those of you who are in design and production, you'll get to meet David Bovers. Yeah, David's got that purple shirt. He's got that pretty snazzy background in there as well. Maria Stoy is here. There she is up in my view anyway, in the corner. And Maria is associate director of the program. And Val Haley is also the academic coordinator. And between Val and Maria and myself, we've come up with the schedule for the program and the way we're going to promote the program. And we can't do anything in design production without David Bovers to help us. Now, you're going to meet a couple of students tonight too, who have actually been in the program. So later on, we'll move into a breakout room, and where we can be a little bit more specific about the topics that maybe interest you, and see if you've got any questions about any of that. And you'll get to meet one of our actors in the program, she was here last year. Her name is Isabella Sanchez. Can you wave Isabella here in the nice professional neutral background there? And Eddie Patrick, who was in our acting program. Isabella was in the music theater program. And then you'll also get to meet Samantha Williams. There she is. And Gabe Marchant. both who were in design and production and who are now actually in the full-time program too. So there's lots of folks to help you with any questions. I have a feeling that you might be a little bit more interested in hearing from them because all their experiences have been so fresh, and they come to it from a very personal point of view. So I'm going to go back to Val Haley. Val just has a couple of quick little questions for folks so we can kind of figure out who we're talking to.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're just trying to get a little count of possibly, if we can, if you're interested in the MT option, the acting option, or the DP option. So if you would use your little reaction button to raise your hand if you are interested in the musical theater program, and give us a moment to kind of count them. Okay, look, there it's counting for us. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's counting. I thought it might count as for us, yeah.
Gotta love Zoom.
That'll just take us a minute to get all this tallied, okay? If you could be patient about that.
Musical theater is probably our largest of the three options. It's very similar to the acting program. There's just slight differences in taking more singing and dancing instead of voice and speech and movement. So looks like about 15. Okay. Now could I have anyone that's interested in the acting program raise their hand? Okay, cool. Great. Marie, are you getting this?
Does everybody know where the raised hand function is?
And then how many of you, thank you, actors, how many of you are interested in the design production program?
Okay, that's adding itself up too.
Excellent. So it looks like we've got a nice mix. If some of you are unsure, maybe you'll be more sure at the end of this meeting. So we're glad to have you here, even if you're not positive about the direction. Great. Thanks so much. We're so glad to have you all here.
That's for sure. Okay. Let me tell you a few things about the program and some of the areas that we would be covering, and actually even the function of the program. We take the name pre-college pretty seriously. So we're looking at the idea of getting ready to go to school in any of these areas that we're talking about. We're looking at like what you need to know and how you can sort of get ready for these programs. Some of the programs across the country are really incredibly competitive. And so the more you know about this, the more ready you could be. And our desire is to help you to be as confident about that as possible. And the more knowledge you have, the better. So for us, the pre-college means here is a sort of a look at what a college program might be like, although we're only doing it in 6 weeks. We're showing you kind of what a BFA program sort of feels like in any of the areas, acting, music, theater, or design production. And so we are trying to inform and prepare our students for getting ready to make that all happen for themselves. At the end of the program, we asked our students a lot about like, what was it like for you? What did you learn? What did it feel like? And sometimes we even hear from students after they have been through the program and they have been out there applying to various colleges and universities. And so you're seeing some of the comments that we got back from the students. We're very keen on hearing from everybody. We want to know what really worked for them, if there were things that they wanted to know more about, so that we could amend the program. Every year we say, let's look at it again. Is there anything we want to add? Last year we were very careful not to overload our students, but then in the end of the program, people said, actually, we could have been very happy to have even more courses. We went, oh, all right, we'll give that a shot then. We were sort of expecting that people had been on Zoom so much of the day that maybe they needed a little bit of a break. But in fact, they told us the opposite. They said, oh, how about if we had this course and this course and this course? And so we definitely heard that, and we're in the process of adding more to the day so that people are even better prepared. So for the actors and the music theater kids, we're saying, how can we get your auditions ready? What material do you need? And what sort of fits with you? And so in our acting classes, in our audition classes, and in our acting for the camera class, we're covering those areas. Design production students are learning a whole other set of skills. When you guys go to the breakout room a little later with Mr. Bovers, you'll hear a little bit more about that. And you'll hear from Gabriel and Sammy about what they took out of that and how that sort of worked for them as they applied to various schools, what they sort of needed to be ready for. So I think Val's going to show you a few more looks at the program, what was going on in some of the classes. For example, for the acting class happens for both the actors and the music theater students. There's somebody really acting, isn't it, Isabella? Look at that. That's heavy duty acting going on right there. And there's Eddie working out his Shakespeare monologue, which he'll tell you about a little bit later on. There's more. That's what the Zoom class looked like for one particular class. That might have been a directing class. Here's what was going on in one of the audition classes. There's quite a few of the classes with the same name so that we can keep the classes small. We like to keep maybe only about 10 or so students in a class if we can. That way everybody gets some very personal attention. It's fun for us to see these guys now in the slideshow too, because we taught them not so long ago, and all of them are in the process right now of applying and auditioning and doing their interviews for all of the areas that they wanted to pursue, especially since having been with us. We're going to mention to you while you're with us in the program what to sort of look for in a program. One of the things you'll be probably keen to ask about as you all go out there and meet people in the various colleges and universities is who their teachers are. You know, what's a class look like? By the way, this slide is going to show you a number of the schools where our students ended up going after they spent time with us. So that's quite a lovely list of universities and colleges across the country. It's wonderful to see where people ended up. Some of them probably surprised themselves on ending up in a different school than they thought they would be, or maybe even changing their major. Some of them came in with a particular idea in mind, and then they learned that actually the more they understood about the whole area of theater, they might change their ideas. For example, most students who come to a program like this don't think directing straight away. And after they take a directing class, some of them go, that was actually pretty cool. Maybe I want to learn a little bit more about that and see if maybe that would be my major. Or dramaturgy. If you want to ask about dramaturgy before we're done today, feel free. So there's another area. Some students who came in for management maybe sort of defined their idea. Was it production management? Was it stage management? Or did they even sort of gravitate a little bit more towards design, like lighting design or costume design? You know, how did their knowledge about all of this work out for them? Well, we feel that having 6 weeks with us, you might be able to get a clearer idea about what interests you and where your strengths are, quite frankly, too. And if you change your mind over the 6 weeks, then we may have saved you a lot of time, not to mention a bunch of money, so that you didn't go through a whole semester of a college situation without being as strong in it or as interested in it as maybe you thought you would be. So maybe we can help you out in that way as you sort of learn more areas that you expected to learn. You'll also want to look at the teachers that you would have. You know, in our program, you'll You'll be working with the faculty who's in the regular college program, and you'll also be working with some other professionals, people who are actually in the business in some way, shape, or form. Maybe if you're in the acting program, you might be not only working with an acting teacher, but also an actor, so they can tell you a little more succinctly what to expect in this world, which is certainly what you want to know. So there'll be a number of areas that will help to prepare you when you go in for your interviews, when the person in the other side of the room says, so what questions do you have? You'll actually have some important questions that will help you to make a decision. We like to tell our students that not only are you interviewing and auditioning for these programs to try to get in them, but there's another side of this too, which is that you are deciding which program is right for you too. Maybe not everyone is right for you, and you might find that out. Here are some looks at our various faculty. When you're here this summer, you'll meet a lot of these people. There's quite a few of them because it's a big program. We expect that we'll have about 100 students in our program. And so you'll probably get to meet 8 or 10 teachers along the way. A lot of students are able to actually keep in touch with their teachers even further after the program is over. We're vitally interested in knowing what happens to you, and if you have any comments about how you sort of applied what you could learn in the program to your actual auditions and your interviews. So the student body, let me mention something about the student body. Who are these students who join with us? We've been doing the pre-college program for a long, long, long time. I've been part of it for 20 years, and it was around long before I was around. So we got to see who comes here. And it's not just one sort of personality in the program. There's lots of different experiences and desires in the program. Some people come to us as they are rising juniors or rising seniors in high school with the idea that they're absolutely sure that they're going to a performing arts school or a design school. And they know that that's what they want, and they just want to get ready for it. And that makes a lot of sense. But then there's another group of people who are saying, I'm not exactly sure if this is right for me. And so we're saying, okay, give it 6 weeks and decide by your comments, by your evaluations that we're happy to provide for you at the end, by the work that you did in the program, whether this is a right fit for you or not. So that can be super helpful. And some people, quite frankly, are just curious. They just want to try this whole thing out and see what it feels like. So for all three of those kinds of people, this program can be pretty helpful, I think. So what did they get out of it? Some people are leaving the program with a stronger sense of confidence. They're able to be better articulate about the things that they like. They're better articulate about the kind of questions that they might put to people who perhaps could help them. Some people are just getting more experience at public speaking, quite frankly. We don't have a public speaking course, but because you're in this small group of people, you get to speak a lot about your work. And you get to talk to your teachers about, what you're interested in and how you can add on to the things that you already know, or how any of it even works. For example, in the audition class, one of my favorite things to do in the class is to explain to these young actors how you get parts. How does that work? I think a lot of people just think, oh, I just want to be on stage, or I just want to get into a TV show or something like that. And we go, all right, good. Let's tell you how you do that thing. Here's what you need. Here's the materials you'll need. Here are the people that you need to meet and work with. So you want a clearer idea about how that works for you. Your immediate questions probably will be about, how do I get into a school? What can I expect? And today you'll even hear a little bit from these 4 students about what they went through and what they learned for that in that situation. So everyone's goals could be quite personal. The training is all going to be very similar in what we're offering you, but what you take away from it somewhat will depend on you. When people are really, really aggressive about learning, we find that they end up taking more home with them. Here's what I mean about aggressive. let's say you have a project in any one of the areas of classes, and your teacher says, listen, I want this project to be turned in some way, shape, or form next week. You know, let's say we're meeting on Monday and I'm going to see you next Monday. Well, a more aggressive student will say, hey, I did it in 3 days. Do you have anything else for me? You know, I go, well, good job. Okay, you want more work? Great. Let's play more. Let me show you some other things that might be helpful to you. And why not? You know, so the more interest you have in this, the more likely you're going to be taking all of these things away with you. Not to mention, of course, that one of the things that you'll be looking at in the course of this 6 weeks is your resume. So all of you who are with us are going to have a resume that has more detail now in the training. And I have to tell you that for young actors, young designers, young production managers, when people meet you, they're going to say, first of all, what have you been studying? How are you prepared? They're not going to necessarily look at the productions that you did, although that might be part of it, but they're probably a little bit more interested in what you studied, okay? So for example, here's a look at some of the schedules that we had last year. Already, I think we're going to start adding on to this. For the actors, I'm hearing a lot from the actors who said, I loved my classes, but the thing that really, really helped me was my camera acting class, because then I got to learn how to put an audition on tape that makes me look good. So we used to have that as an optional class, you know, as an elective. Now we're saying, no, everybody should take this in the acting and the music theater. So that you, again, the whole point of all of this stuff is just to get you more confident, get you more aware, make sure that you're, you know, more fully prepared for, you know, what's coming up. So that's a quick look at, in a general way, of the things that we'll be addressing in the 6-week program. By the end of it, we want to have some sort of final moment with everybody. If it's for the performers, we say, okay, after 6 weeks, show me something that you learned, you know, like an audition type thing. For the design production folks, they'll be actually in kind of a mock interview to say, here's what it would be like. Let's see how you can show your work, articulate what you learned, that sort of thing. So I think you'll feel that you've gone somewhere in the 6 weeks, that it traveled somewhere. And 6 weeks sounds like a short amount of time, and it is, but you can learn a lot, especially if you're really pretty eager to just expand everything that you know about the business of getting into the universities and the future business of how this might turn out for you. One more thing about that is that the other thing that we like to know about as much as we can, and if you're in our program, we'll ask you this too, we love to hear from the students who have been in the program even a few years ago. And most of the time, those students are really very happy to like share that. So they'll say, well, I got into Boston University, or I'm at NYU, or whatever it turned out to be. And then even after that, sometimes they'll say, hey, I got a show in New York. And we're thrilled to hear that. I just heard like 2-3 days ago that one of our former students is playing Romeo in a production in a regional theater in Romeo and Juliet. I mean, you cannot imagine how happy that makes us to see that the kids are applying what they learned and they're doing well with it. You know, obviously, I'm sure everybody knows that there's nothing happening on Broadway right now just because of the whole COVID epidemic, but we had several people who were in shows like Mean Girls and a number of other shows who were with us in pre-college too. Now, obviously, they went on to college as well. They just do all that from 6 weeks of work, but hopefully the 6 weeks of work helped them to get into the universities that they wanted to get into. So there's the general idea. I'm hoping that this sparks a few thoughts and questions in your mind about more specific things that you want to know. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the actors and the music theater students right here. And then Kai is going to talk to you about how the design and the production students could move into a breakout room, because their questions and their interests will probably be a little different. So hang on while Kai explains that to you.
Hey everyone, so I'm getting ready to launch a breakout room for the design production track. So if you're on the phone, it might not pop up on your screen, but if you're having any trouble seeing this invitation that I'm getting ready to send, please just shoot me a chat and I'll manually move you to that room. Okay, so the invitation should be out now. Please let me know if you don't see the invite to join.
At the bottom, we see, Kai, that it says breakout room. So go ahead and click on that if you're in design and production. And David and Gabe and Samantha will meet you there. Great. And Maria, you'll join them as well, will you? And Beth. Right. Okay, terrific. Okay.
Is there anyone that wanted to go in the breakout room that wasn't able to get there? If you so, put your name in the chat and we'll send you, Maria. I'll assign you, Maria.
Hang on, everybody, while we get everybody separated and situated.
Anyone else? Great.
You're all good?
Did you get it, Maria?
Maria might be frozen.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, great. This is, again, we're just so thrilled to meet everybody. This is such a great group of people. I can tell straight away. So let me introduce you again to Eddie and then Isabella. Let's start with Eddie. We'll just start with acting for right now. And just off the top of your head, Eddie, or however you prepared this, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you last summer? We were virtual last summer too, as we will be this time. So what did you take away from the program, Eddie, please?
Okay, so first of all, I loved my original schedule. I had my acting classes, on-camera acting. There was an audition class, voice and speech. My Shakespeare class with Don. There may be a couple that I'm forgetting, but overall, one of the most important things, or one of the most important classes for me, was the on-camera class, and I'm so happy that they decided to make it mandatory, because it is honestly so much information that it revolutionized the way that I recorded my self-tapes. And that definitely helped me with a lot of my college auditions and all of that. What else? I got my main monologues that I also used for my college auditions. Like when they say this is a college prep course, like they mean it. I was prepared. There was barely anything that I was confused on or had no idea, like hearing about for the first time. Like my two main monologues that I've been using for all of my auditions, I got from teachers from this course, one of which I stayed in contact for months after the course ended. And, they helped me throughout this entire audition process. But overall, one of the main things you're getting is a great college prep, incredible connections with teachers, and incredible connections with students. But yeah, it was a great experience for me. I would do it again if there was any more information I could get out of it. But unfortunately, I've exhausted that. But it's a great course.
We'd love to have you back, I must say, Eddie. Thanks for that. I'm going to come back to you in a minute. And Isabella, what would you do differently, because you've got a slightly different program with music theater?
So yeah, first off, I want to start by saying, I know how you guys all feel. It's kind of, daunting to be doing all these classes through Zoom. and you think, well, like, how am I going to get this full experience through a computer screen? But, you know, my personal experience ended up being so much more immersive and eye-opening than I ever would have imagined. So, you know, I would come in every day like excited to learn. And, you know, looking back at my whole experience, I think, and for also auditioning for colleges, one of the things I would give advice for you guys to do is, you know, ask questions. You have all these amazing teachers, and you'll even have Zoom seminars on Fridays with all these amazing people who are working in the industry. And just take advantage of that, because that ended up aiding me a lot and in my college audition process. And you know, don't be afraid to take risks. And I know in my audition prep class with Dawn, like I was trying out like Brooklyn and Southern dialect. In my acting class with Lisa Belton Smith, I was doing a Spanish scene, which was really cool, where I got to speak Spanish. And, you know, just take in every experience you're going to get here, because it very much will help you when you're in that college audition process.
Great. Now, Eddie had things like voice and speech, but you had some music type courses. Do you want to talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so I had a class with Claudia Benak, and we had uh, basically she would like give us songs to work on, or she would help us with our audition songs, which I ended up using two of the songs she gave me, which were very helpful. And yeah.
And then in the course of that, you got notes from Claudia so that you could work on those, bring them back again, and see where they were the next time, right?
Yeah, she helped me so much. And you know, if there was songs that like didn't seem right, she would definitely say, you know what, why don't we switch this? And there were times too where she really helped me get to understand the song. And you know, I'm very thankful I was able to take that class with her.
Now, I just want to point out what you just said there that's really, really important. When someone who knows what they're talking about sees your work and says, you know, I think there's better material for you, that is a life-changing remark, because sometimes finding exactly the right thing for you can change everything for you. I've auditioned like thousands of kids for the full-time program. And sometimes when they walk in the room, I'll hear what they're going to do. You know, my first question would be, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, like that. Are you studying? And I'll say, so what did you bring in today, monologue wise or song wise? And sometimes when they tell me, I go, oh, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh dear, that's the wrong material for you. I'm sorry that you picked that, you know? So if someone says this really works for you, pay attention. Don't fight them on that, because you in your auditions and your interviews, you always want to show your very best side, you know? So some material is going to be better for you than other material. And right now, that's probably hard for you to exactly tell. But the people who do this for a living can easily tell you. And then in the course of that, sometimes your teachers might also say, let's try that same material different ways. Because sometimes when you're in front of an acting teacher, in the audition, they might say, okay, let's try this really differently. And they're not necessarily correcting you. They just want to see where else you can go. Because if you did a good job the first time, they want to see, okay, how flexible are you, you know? So if they say, let's play the whole thing like it is a conspiracy, make it more secretive. You go, gee, I never thought of that. Okay, let me give that a shot, you know? And you do it, and sometimes you're glad you have done it because you found a different thing in there that you quite like. And you're impressing folks by saying, like, I can do more than just the one thing that you saw. So believe me, when your teachers give you some feedback, like, eat it up like a hungry person dying of hunger, who like wants to get all the information that they possibly can get. Now, I also want to say that Isabella and Eddie are both still in the process of looking at schools and trying to figure out what is going to work for them. And they've taken very different paths. Isabella, did you look at acting and music theater, or just one thing?
Yeah, so after taking the program, I think very much it taught me like to, not stay in one lane.
Uh-huh.
And as much as I was, in the musical theater courses, I also was able to have access to, um, acting courses, and even the
Yeah.
Friday seminars with the people coming in just showed me a lot about that. So I applied acting, musical theater, and then I also found another interest in business of the entertainment industry. So yeah, it definitely shaped, my college selection process.
Let me ask you, I actually don't know the answer to this question. When you went in for acting and music theater in some schools, did you have to audition for different people, or could you do acting and music theater for the same folks?
So it depends on which college. I know
Yeah.
for some of them, I had it either separate days or two different people in one day. But typically, it's usually one person musical theater, and then if you get passed on to the next round, then you go to acting.
So any of you, if any of you are in that same boat, if you're not exactly sure or you sort of have an interest in both, that probably means that you have twice the amount of stuff to prepare. Because in the music theater, you'll have songs and you would have monologues. And in the acting, you'd have monologues, but maybe you would even have a couple of spares in case anybody says, "What else do you have?" Eddie, tell us about your audition situation, because Eddie's in the throes of it too. Nobody's really done till the beginning of March.
So, yes, I just finished all of my actual like Zoom auditions yesterday. Actually, was my final audition with University of Southern California. I've applied to 5 schools. The audition process was pretty similar for every single school. Most schools, it was very organized, very quick, very not quick, but like very like it doesn't take as much time as you think that it would. You don't have to sit in front of your computer all day. However, for me, uh, like I said, I finished my auditions for schools, and like Don said, I'm pretty relatively soon I'll figure out when and where I'm going and all of that. So that would be that would be nice, very relaxing, very reassuring. But overall, my audition process was very stress-free, very calm, very there was nothing that surprised me. Like I said, there was nothing that I didn't have to prepare anything extra. All of the people there, they are rooting for you. They are definitely rooting for you. Like nobody is uptight and like, I want to see a perfect monologue. No, like the people who audition you, they work with you as well. In fact, a lot of my auditions, after I worked a piece, I would use those adjustments in my auditions for different schools. So like even when you're going through the audition process, you're still learning and you can still add on so much to your pieces.
Well, I think that's so important. I'm glad you brought that up. That sometimes people will give you some notes or some adjustments, and you'll go, "Ooh, great idea! I'm going to use that on the next time. The next time I have a piece." Now, in your case, Eddie, you took a modern piece and a classical piece, right?
Yes, I in total I had 6 monologues that I could use at any time. 2 of them were classical and 4 of them were contemporary. For the most part, I stuck with the same 2 that I use, just my comfort pieces. Every now and then, schools tell you like have an extra monologue prepared, and that is important. You should have like at least 2 more prepared, I would say, that are contrasting because they might ask you for an extra piece. I only ever got to do an extra piece for one audition, but still like I'm glad that I had like a great selection of pieces to go to anytime I wanted. And the majority of them actually came from the pre-college program with Carnegie Mellon, like I said. Um, but yeah, like monologues.
And Eddie, you mentioned that you wanted contrast in the pieces, and why is that important?
It's really the most important part about it is to show your range as an actor, that you are as three-dimensional as the characters that you're playing. So for my pieces, I had a contemporary dramatic and a Shakespearean. It was comedic. It was about love. Like the 2 were nothing alike, nothing, absolutely nothing. But that worked out incredibly for me because being able to play those two helped highlight my range, and that, like that you're not bound to a character type. So having those contrasting monologues is important.
Yeah. Now I have to tell you, because I'm on the other side of the room now, right? I'm auditioning the students, and you're hearing Eddie's side of it and Isabella's side of it as actors. But if somebody like Eddie walks in the room, and I say to him, "Tell me a little bit about yourself," and he introduces himself, and then I say, "So what pieces do you have?" And he tells me he has 6 monologues. I go, "This kid is eager. This is somebody I want in the program." Most people come in and they'll sort of have one monologue ready. Somebody who has, a couple of monologues, a couple of songs, um, that shows that they really want to work. And that's the kind of person you want to have in your program. And in the process of that, if they also show some range that he can really change. Now, no one's looking for perfection, as Eddie said. Nobody expects them to be perfect. But if they see that kind of, drive, that's a very impressive way to start. I've done this much work on it. And then the second thing that impresses people in the room is when they do say, "Hey, let's try it again and let's try something a little different with them." If your response is, "Yeah, great," then they're like, "Oh, okay, this is a positive person. That's all to the good." There's just a zillion young actors out there right now. We've never had so many people applying to schools. And so, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just telling you that's the reality. So the more fully you are prepared, the more confident you are, um, the more likely you're going to show very well. And you could go through this whole process and find a school, or you could go through this whole process and say, "You know what, I think I'm going to take a year off and do this again next year." People do that. And sometimes people will go through the whole process and say, "I think I'm not going to go strictly for the BFA program. I'm going to mix my work up a little bit." For example, let's say you're a good academic student, and so you don't necessarily want to go to a BFA program where you won't get to use that often. So you might find a minor in acting or something like that, and go for psychology or business or any other number of things. So these are all things you can be talking about and working through. But I think the main thing is both of these students are telling you is be prepared. Be as prepared as you possibly can. Not only with that, but also with questions. What do you want to know? What would help you, to make a decision? Usually when young actors are out there, auditioning their hearts out, all they're thinking about is, "I want to get in, I want to get in, I want to get in." But there's another side of that coin that comes up later. And that's something that both Isabella and Eddie are probably thinking about now, which is, okay, where do I actually want to go? Not only who likes me, but who do I like? So can you imagine like what you would need to know to make a decision? You know, Isabella, let me ask you this. In meeting some of these folks, did you find different, I don't know, personalities? Did the school seem kind of somewhat different to you, even though you were probably in there for a short amount of time?
100%. Like
Yeah.
after attending CMU, like the pre-college program, it definitely, when I was researching schools, ended up being, at the top of my list when I was applying, because I think from getting the experience where you're with the teachers, it very much like shows you sort of like a little bit of an inside. And I think right now with it being hard touring schools and being in person, it's just doing stuff like this very much opens you to, seeing what the program's like. And um, yeah, I think that it really helped.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And would you say that I know it's a short amount of time and you're on Zoom, it's not terribly personal, but do you feel like you got some sense of, I don't know, personality, I guess, that was different between the couple of schools that you auditioned for?
Yes. So definitely, like personality wise, it was very much like I was able to find things out about myself that
Yeah.
I didn't really know before. And
Hmm.
so, um, you know, I was able to see sort of, I really liked musical theater and I was able to get a lot of experience from that. But I felt like through CMU it was very like holistic and more than any of the other programs I was really looking at.
I
And
see.
so, yeah, it was, yeah.
Thanks, Isabel. Same question to you, Eddie. Did they seem terribly different, or did they seem exactly the same?
Like they all had the same skeleton, I would
Uh-huh.
say, but
Uh-huh.
every school is wearing a different piece of clothing. So
Okay.
like certain schools are the audition process was very like was calm and relaxing, and your auditors would talk to you and they would strike up conversation. One school I applied to, they would completely blur out your auditor's name for the reason of like getting rid of any bias that they might have towards you if you know them, stuff like that. But overall, like the audition process was pretty similar around
Okay.
with every school that I auditioned to. But yeah, like you're definitely going to find out through the process, like, oh, I like this school more than I like this school.
And why would you say that? What would make something more attractive to you?
Definitely things like as funny as it is, like being efficient with emails and communication. Like
Oh,
one school I applied to, there was a huge lack of that. And, I didn't know when my audition was. And then I just get an email. I'm in the middle of my stat class in high school. And it's like, hey, you have an audition this weekend. And in my mind, I'm like, wow, it's Friday. I barely have any time to, and that it was my first college audition too, and I was freaking out. So that really like that made me want to go to that school a little less versus like Carnegie Mellon. They're a great example. Like that was the most stress-free audition I had. Like I joined a Zoom call, it's a waiting room. There's student ambassadors in there, other people who are teenagers or pretty young, and they're willing to answer any questions. They're willing to be like, hey, if you want to turn your camera off and just run around your house and go on mute, I don't mind. Do what you need to do that is going to help you do the best on this audition. And so stuff like that, you find that out about every school you apply to, and it really helps out.
So that made you, tell me if I'm saying this right. That gave you the idea that you might be in a more supportive environment if
Most,
people were a little bit more positive, huh?
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So that would help you to make up your mind, surely. Well, I'm so interested in hearing from Eddie and Isabella. I imagine you are too. But let me switch this around and see if there's some things that you want to know. Now, I can't see everybody, so if I'm not calling on you, just get off your mics or get on your mics, I guess I should say, and just ask away if there's something that about the program, about what they're going through, what they
Put your
learned.
name in the chat if you'd like to, and we can call on you that way.
Great. So Molly's up here. Molly has a question, huh?
Okay.
Hi, I was just wondering what the elective options are for acting in musical theater.
Yeah, great. Val, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So our typical elective, well, it used to be acting for camera, but we have now moved that into a full-time class, as we mentioned. You can choose from directing, playwriting, improv, and then we have 3 new offerings this year. One of them is going to be like a text analysis, so you can really dig deep into the script and understand, what is on the written page to help you understand what you're playing. Another one is going to be for musical theater students to help build repertoire. We're going to have one of our voice teachers teaching that, and they'll be helping you build a good, strong repertoire. And I'm going to come back to you with the 6th new offering, because off the top of my head, I can't think of it right now, but I'll be back. But I also wanted, while I have the mic for one moment, I wanted to let you know that one of the things we're adding back in this year for acting musical theater students, and it can be for either, is private voice lessons, which is something that we did not offer last year. We were not able to, but that is an additional cost to the program. You would have to pay, I believe it's a $350 charge for 5 45-minute lessons, and you would be assigned a one-on-one voice lesson that would meet, you'd have the entire 6 weeks to get your 5 lessons in. You would schedule those lessons directly with your professor. And then it's just kind of a nice addition, because A lot of times in singing class with 10 of you in there, you don't get as many opportunities to dig as deeply as you might want to on your song. And this is another way to work on that. So that's just an option that was not available last year that I wanted to make you aware of this year.
Thanks, Molly. Thanks for that question. Max, you have a question, hey?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Sorry, I have a mask on. I'm in a room with other people. I went to a therapeutic. No, I didn't. I went to a performing arts high school last year, and the acting system was based on like seniority. So like for your acting class, no matter your skill level or the way your audition went or whatever, you started in acting one your first year, and no matter how well you did in that class, the next year you were in acting two, and so on and so forth, for all 4 years of high school. And I'm not at that school anymore, but I was just wondering what, because my big interest is acting for screen and stage. So what is the like leveling process for all of that?
Okay,
How do
that
you
is
start
great.
and how do you like progress?
Great. That's a great question, Max. Now, keep in mind, we're only going to have you for 6 weeks. So it's not going to be a long-term situation.
Okay.
So there aren't really levels in here. For one thing, we don't know who you are until you're in the room with us, but there are only 10 people in the room, you know?
Yeah.
So the teacher is going to figure out where the class is, and everybody will be a little bit different, you know, but not radically so for the most part. So the level for us is not an aspect at all.
Okay, cool.
But the topics will be more or less the same throughout all the way through. So, for example, Max, we might have 6 or 8 different acting classes because that's how many students we have. And all of them will be more or less doing the same thing. They'll learn something about scene study. They'll learn various kinds of exercises, and then eventually we'll get everybody up on their feet. So those levels won't be an issue for us. When you leave us and you go to a different school, you might find things a little differently there for you, but not in our program at all. I hope I'm
Okay. That makes total sense. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, if someone was like you was in my class and I saw you do a monologue and I would say, I can tell this person has some experience, I think I'm going to find a scene that's a little bit more challenging for that person.
So it's less of like a class level and more of like on an individual level.
Yeah.
The teacher will just assign like, this is what you're capable of, and they'll give you material to match like what your capabilities are.
Yeah. But there's
Awesome.
not a huge difference in this situation. You know, even if people say, well, I think I know something about the Stanislavski system, nevertheless, we're still going to work on it because we know how that's basic and important to everybody. So, but I think your teachers would figure out in a minute, like that you had some experience to bring into the group, which will be, you know, valuable to you, I'm sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max.
So tap dancing was the other elective, by the way, which I know sounds tricky over Zoom, but we're able to present it this year. And then we had a question from Belinda. Do you want to go next?
I would love to. Hello, my name is Belinda Decay, and right now I'm a 9th grade student at Philadelphia High School for Girls. I have a couple of questions. So my first question is, what are the requirements for the program?
Val, will you answer this? I just have to answer my door.
Sorry, what was the question one more time?
What are the requirements for the program?
You have to, when you apply, you are asked to submit 2 essays. You're asked to get a recommendation from your either teachers or directors or someone that knows you well. And then you have to just provide us with transcripts and just some basic application information. Kai, is there anything else that I didn't think of there?
No, Val, I think you covered it all.
We it's not since our undergraduate program is so competitive, we've kind of removed that from pre-college because we want everyone to have an opportunity. So it's not really set up to be super competitive.
So next year, or next school year, I'm gonna be in 10th grade. So 9th grade can join too, right?
Have to be 16 by a certain date. What is that date, Kai?
So since we're virtual this year, there isn't an age requirement. So in theory, you could still apply to the program, you know, even in 9th grade. The only year that we can't accommodate is 12th grade, just because we're not in a position to serve students that have already graduated from high school during the summer.
So my other question was, what is like the basic cost of the program? Like, is there a cost, or is it like, yeah?
But yeah, so as far as the cost, I'm going to provide a link to our cost and financial aid page. So there is a cost for the program. However, we offer quite a few full cost scholarships as part of all of our programs here at Carnegie Mellon Pre-College. So I mean, depending on, you know, financial situation of everyone's family, you know, you can choose whether you'd like scholarship consideration or not. And that's definitely something that's part of our process. But just give me one moment and I'll post that into the chat.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
Oh, okay.
So my other question was, I would I like to do like voiceovers. I mean, like, it's kind of like acting. So like, can I still take the acting classes, or no?
Dawn and Val, would you all be able to provide some perspective?
I'm sorry, your question was, you would take acting class regardless of whether you were in acting or musical theater. Acting class is part of the curriculum for both groups.
I think Bill was interested in other, like the voiceover type idea. Is that right, Bill?
Yes.
Right. That's a pretty advanced and very specific skill. It's not impossible that it could come up in the acting course, like in a voice and speech class. It's not a normal thing for us to do. But on the other hand, if you had something that you wanted to show to your teacher or ask about, you could do that. It's such an advanced idea and a really great idea. I'm all for it. I do it for a living. So I would pursue that as much as you can. That's much more of not only a college course, but a very specific kind of college course. So good for you, keep after it, but it's not something we would normally put in our program.
Okay, my last question, I'm so sorry, I'm asking so many questions. My last question is, oh, I just skipped out of my mind. So my last question was, like, if I had little experience, because I did participate in a school like theater kind of thing when I was little, but like, can I still join if like I have a like little experience, but like I want to have experience, I want to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you would not be alone either, Belle. A lot of people are saying, I'm just putting my foot in the water here. I'm not sure if this is exactly what I want to do because I don't have any background in it. And this program, the summer program, is the place to do that. Because in other places, they're going to look at your resume and they're going to say, well, you don't have any experience. We're saying we want everybody to come in, try it out, and see what kind of works for them and what they can learn from that. So you'd be very welcome to give that a shot in here, because to us, not coming in with a lot of credits doesn't bother us. Because I'll tell you something about this, Belle. It also means you're not coming in with a lot of old problems. And that's kind of a good thing too, you know? So if you have a strong desire, I say follow your desire and let's see where it takes you.
Yes, because I really do love like the whole like art theater thing. I've been in love with it since I was little. And I just really want to see if it's a good fit for me.
Yeah.
And I just want
Right.
to see like if I'm able to take that opportunity.
Right. Well,
So thank you so much.
my advice is get yourself in some program, our program or somebody's program, and see what it feels like, and see if this feels like that's exactly what you want for your future.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sure.
Jubilee has been waiting for a while to ask a question, and then we'll get to the next hand raised.
Hi, my name's Jubilee. My question was, sorry, I just lost my track of thought for a sec. Okay, so you guys said it's like not very competitive and we don't really have to like audition. So I was wondering what the acceptance rate was, or how that works, or how you decide who gets in or whatnot.
So our acceptance is all about high school records, your essay, your academic record, and quite frankly, your desire to be in a program like this. So so it's definitely not competitive, and nor are the classes competitive. After you leave us, it's going to be a very different situation. But to get in this program, we're just looking at the kind of person who wants to learn and who loves learning. That's basically what it comes down to.
Well,
Okay,
and I also
thank
think
you.
I might need to speak on terms of just the rolling admissions that will be filling the spots until we're full. So there is some timeliness to the application because we have limits of how many we can take. So I don't want to wait till the last possible minute. Kai, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, for sure. So for students that wish to pay for the program or don't require scholarship consideration, our application process is rolling until March 15th. And that just means that we'll be admitting students really as the applications are being submitted. So once you complete the application and all the letters of recommendation are received, you should receive a decision within 3 weeks. But for those requesting scholarship consideration, there is a level of selectivity to that, just because there's going to be more scholarship applicants than spots available. So the scholarship deadline for all of pre-college programs is March 10th, and then you'll hear back on April 14th.
We do have a little more than 100 applications at this point. So if you are thinking about it, you've done the right timing to come to this Zoom meeting tonight to find out if this is something you want to pursue.
I think Will has a question.
Yeah. Hi. You've mentioned essays a few times now. I was just wondering what those would be over.
The essays are in the application. It's just talking about what I believe the one prompt is about what theater, how you got involved and what theater means to you. And also then a question about theater in this changing world and how important it is how important it is to pursue creative arts when so many other factors are in the world are changing. I believe that's the essence of them.
Right. So there's two areas, Will, that I think would be very easy to talk about right now.
We just want to get a sense of who you are and what you care about and that sort of thing. Another question? Can't see all the hands. Who else has one raised? Leslie?
Hello, this is just a clarifying question, but is there a certain age limit you need to be?
I'm sorry, a what?
Is there a certain age you need to be in order to apply?
You just should be, and I guess you need to be a rising 10th or 11th or 12th grader. As Kai said earlier, you can't be a current senior because you can't be in the program if you've graduated from high school. Our limits are usually you have to be 16 when you come to the program, but since we're not residential, we're having a little more freedom with that this year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Leslie.
Another question? Any hands raised? Can't see everyone, so use the little reaction if you can, because I can't see everyone's hands. Don, maybe give a quick little bit about our special topics. That's kind of something we didn't touch on.
So I think you'll find this pretty interesting. What we did last year that turned out to be really popular was that we invited some younger actors to come in on our Fridays and talk to the students about how things are working out for them. Like, for example, we had a student who was with us in the full-time college program, who's, you'll see her here, Kennedy McMahon, who is playing Nancy Drew right now. And so she was able to talk to the students to say like how she got that and what it's like to be on a set every day and what it's like to be on a long-running situation. And then this other actor, Casey Cott, who's on a long-running show as well, and he talked a little bit about what that means to him and how that works. We want you to think kind of not only short term insofar as like getting yourself into a college situation, but also like long term. Does this career make sense? Is this something that really you'd love to participate and love to learn more about? So we have a lot of connections with folks either on the business end of it or students who are performing now who can tell you a little bit about what it's like to be in those shoes as well. It looks like we have a couple more raised hands, and then I think we'll be finishing up on our questions. Oh, we got 4 now. Okay.
Sure.
Who they are, Val?
See. Can't see them.
Okay.
Go ahead. Just whoever, feel free to open your mic and ask a question.
Hello. Hi.
We see you.
Nice to meet you all, first off. Second, so I have a big thing with my acting journey, and my kind of goal for acting and finding like the right college for me was really networking. And I was wondering for the pre-college, obviously like this is one of the schools I'm planning on applying to. And along with meeting the staff, like you guys mentioned, will there be like meeting other like performers, actors, alumni, or like other talent in the area? Just like, since that's kind of my main driving force, I was just wondering what things we could see in that 6-week program.
Tell me your first name.
Oh, my name is Ethan.
Ethan, great. So Ethan, part of what we would be doing, especially in your audition class, would be talking about the networking idea. So you brought up a great word here. Like what can you be doing on your own to kind of prepare? And in the networking world, first of all, you'd be finding out how these schools are alike, how they're different, what appeals to you about them. So that's networking too. In the auditioning part of this too, Ethan, I would urge you, like if you went to say Boston University, like one day for an audition, I would say, tell me how that went for you, and you would say, oh, it was really interesting. I really liked the school. I got to learn more about it. Then my next comment is, I want you to write them a thank you letter right now and say, thanks for everything that you gave me there. You're already starting to do a little networking that way too, Insofar as learning about other people, it's a little more challenging on Zoom, that's for sure. But because of what I just mentioned to you about bringing guest speakers in, that's a way to do it as well, And I would say, make sure you know who's working right now. Like if you were looking at actors on Netflix right now, for example, or Hulu or network TV or whatever, I would say, are there people in there that look like they probably are 20-ish or under? And find out where they went to school and see if that's something that would make you say, well, I want to learn a little bit more about them. That's the kind of actor I would like to be as well, So there are definite ways of networking, and I think you're right on by exploring that idea. That's something I would definitely say in your audition class would be a great topic. Thanks for bringing it up.
We have another question from Chloe.
Hi. I heard that one of the electives was like playwriting, and I'm kind of interested in like writing movies and stuff like that. So I was wondering what exactly that elective would entail.
Yeah, playwriting is definitely something that we want to bring in. It's probably good for people to start with short pieces at first, so you get a little bit of feedback about the form, etc. if you wanted to do something other than theater, I would definitely bring that up to your teacher and say, can I explore the idea of writing a TV show or scenes or episodes of a TV show or something like that?
I believe that Denise has rebranded her title as dramatic writing this year, so
Yeah.
she's open to any kinds of writing. In our residential program, we usually, the students all write small, short plays, cast them, and we perform them. We haven't exactly figured out how we're going to approach that over Zoom, but I imagine we will have some place where we can at least do a reading and get to invite everyone to come and listen at the end. That's what
And maybe you know this, Chloe, but there are a lot of actors who are not waiting around to get cast. They're writing stuff for themselves these days, and some of it's actually getting produced. So it's a very smart idea to pursue.
That's actually kind of what I want to do. Like my big goal is like write a movie and then star in it. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
our dramatic writing professor, Denise Pullen, is excellent, and she is very open to accommodating whatever creative process you're interested in. So I think you'll find that to be an excellent elective for you. Leslie, did you have a question?
No, thank you.
I think
Oh,
Ava
okay.
has it. Ava has it.
Ava's next.
Hi, yeah, I came from the breakout room, so I'm sorry if this has already been answered, and it's sort of a follow-up to Chloe's. But with the writing elective, would that be offered to the people who are also part of production, or is that solely part of the musical theater and acting program? And as well as also directing, because I'm curious about that as well.
Because of the way that the design production program is set up, it doesn't always fit with the acting and musical theater schedule. And we don't have the elective schedule completely set yet. So if it's possible, they're usually very flexible about letting a design production student participate if they're not missing another class to do so. Now, design production does overlap with the performance options in dramatic literature. You all take dramatic literature. So there is a little crossover, and sometimes the schedule does work out. So I would just say as we get closer and things become solidified with the schedule, just reach out again to us when we're, within weeks of the program. And if it can fit into your schedule, either directing or what was the other one you said, playwriting, or yeah. If it fits, you'll certainly be welcome to take it.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I think I saw another hand somewhere. No?
Don't see any other.
Looks like we're good. Okay. Then if other things come to you, if you go on our website, you'll see a way to contact quite a number of us. If something else comes up or you need some help with something, we're happy to get back to you as soon as we can.
I think everybody put their email address into the chat, so feel free to take those down if you have any questions.
Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. Right.
Okay.
Someone was asking about double majoring. I think we didn't get quite to that. So it's kind of the same as Ava was asking about, like, can you sort of cross over? In a program that's as concentrated as this, sometimes it is possible, but it's almost an accident. Like we were answering your question, Ava, like if you had the time free in a class that you wanted to take, we would say, oh, let's make this work. But it could happen that we scheduled you pretty tightly. And so it would have to just be like almost a happy accident, because these things mean to be very concentrated and very complete. So we want to make sure you cover all the areas that, that title suggests. Design and production is a pretty big area. So we want to make sure you can, get to all the classes that we think are important. In acting and music theater, there's already a lot of crossover because everybody takes acting, everybody takes audition, everybody takes a camera class. So there's already a lot of crossover with those two.
And those classes can be mixed with actors and MTs. The only classes that are exclusive for the actors are movement and voice and speech. And the only classes that are exclusive for the MTs are ballet, jazz, and oh, I'm sorry, Shakespeare is also an acting class, not a musical theater class. And then musical theater takes singing and dancing. Other than that, camera acting, the audition, the dramatic literature, those are all crossover, and you'll be mixed together for electives as well. Eddie and Isabella are bummed that we didn't have electives together last year. Sorry, guys.
Savannah's asking a question about the business end of things. And I think you would, in at least one day of your audition class, you'd definitely be talking about that, Savannah. You know, how all that works. I wouldn't want you to leave the program and not know that, because that's pretty basic to how this works. And also in an audition class, you should know that these are the kinds of people you would be auditioning for and what they would be looking for, you know. I was just in another class about 3 nights ago, and we were talking to a casting director. And one of the actors said to the casting director, "What's the main thing that you look for in your actors?" And she said, "Confidence." And I thought, oh, okay, there you go. Confidence comes from work, you know, getting prepared for all of this kind of work. You know, when you're prepared, you can feel confident. If you only sort of half prepared, then you're not going to get nearly as confident as, you know, you might want to be. Just a couple quick ones, Val, before we're done. There's a few more questions in the chat.
Sure. I was just, there's another in the chat. I don't see any other ones.
Kelsey says, just to clarify, does CMU offer an MT as a minor? And if so, would you have to go through the college audition process? No, we don't have a minor in music theater in our end of it. Giselle's asking about the tuition cost. We want you to go on the website to look at all of that information, because included in that information about the tuition is also scholarship information. So see if it looks like it's something that you might be interested in and want to apply for. But as we said just a little bit ago, the deadlines are coming up for that. So if you decide to do it, why not, you know, get a jump on that and find out if that's something you can manage. I think we're about out of time, and it looks like we have answered the questions, I think. So I just want to say thank you so much for spending so much time with us, and we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to entertain any more questions if you've got them in the next, I would say, 2 weeks or so. Okay. Thanks to
I'm going to put the link to the website one more time into the chat. And that's the main website. Earlier, I gave you the drama specific website that had the faculty listed. This is the main application page.
Why don't you copy that? Or you can always just Google CMU pre-college drama and you'll find us that way too. Thanks to Beth, Kai, our student guests who are so helpful. To Val and Maria, we thank you all for being with us tonight, and hope we get to hear from you sometime soon. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.